Meantime, President Trump is saying Israel and Hamas have agreed to an initial phase of a plan to end the war in Gaza. Eamon Javers is in Washington this morning, and he has the details. Where are we, Eamon?
Yeah, good morning, Andrew. It was a bit of a dramatic moment at the White House yesterday as President Trump was engaged in an unrelated roundtable, and suddenly Secretary of State Marco Rubio walked into the room. The president looked over at Rubio. Rubio handed him a note and then went over and whispered in his ear. And apparently what Rubio told the president was they were very, very close to a peace deal, and they needed the president to approve a Truth Social post in order to be the first one to announce the deal. That came a couple of hours later in the evening last night. Here's what the president put up on Truth Social, if we can call that up. He said, "I'm very proud to announce that Israel and Hamas have both signed off on the first phase of our peace plan. This means that all of the hostages will be released very soon, and Israel will withdraw all their troops to an agreed-upon line as the first steps toward a strong, durable, and everlasting peace. All parties will be treated fairly. This is a great day for the Arab and Muslim world, Israel, all surrounding nations, and the United States of America. And we thank the mediators from Qatar, Egypt, and Turkey who worked with us to make this historic and unprecedented event happen. Blessed are the peacemakers." So that's the president talking about this first phase and hostages being released very soon. What does that mean? Well, a White House official tells NBC News that there are certain expectations here. One is that the deal has to go to the cabinet of Israel today, Thursday, for a vote. If they vote yes, then Israel will withdraw to an agreed-upon area within 24 hours after that vote takes place. Then Hamas has 72 hours to release hostages, and the White House now expects those hostages to begin to be released on Monday. So that's where we stand in terms of the logistics of what this first phase might mean. Then the big question, guys, coming up is whether we see travel from President Trump. He hinted yesterday that he'll be making the rounds of the region. Not sure exactly what that means. Seems to indicate multiple stops in the region, possibly Egypt, where negotiations have been taking place. But the president clearly viewing this as a big foreign policy win. And he's going to want to go over and put his stamp on it and participate in some of the events surrounding the end of this war, if that's what we end up seeing here, depending on these votes and how things go. Folks I'm talking to overnight say one of the big things to be wary of here is domestic Israeli political opinion about this. You know, how does this play in Israel domestically? So there are still some stumbling blocks potentially out there, but for now, this looks like we could be on path to see the hostages released by Monday, guys. Back over to you.
That was what I was going to ask you, was just what do you think the opinion is right now in Israel? What is the prospect that this happens in real time the way it's being described? And if we talk about this a week, a month from now, are we really there?
It's a good question. You know how many false starts there have been on Middle East peace, right? I mean, people have been trying to do this for decades and generations. It is a very tricky, intractable problem. I mean, I think one of the questions is just militarily, the reality on the ground for Hamas. You know, how badly devastated have they been? Maybe at the point now where they simply don't have the leadership, command and control, military resources to continue to engage in fighting, and they are willing to stand down for some period of time and maybe regroup for some future effort, and sort of take a pause here. And a pause is a win in the Middle East if you look at the history there. So maybe that's it. And then the question is Israeli public opinion. Netanyahu apparently told President Trump, who said this in an interview last night, that he is extraordinarily popular now as a result of this deal. So maybe the Netanyahu administration feels that this is a win for them as well. And they've got their finger on the pulse of public opinion there, certainly better than I do. But, we'll see. I think, there's cautious optimism in Washington today, and, the emphasis may be on cautious.